All right, it's Vital Info. I hope you guys are feeling vital today, all you guys and gals out there. Thank you so much for tuning in to this YouTube video. I really appreciate it. And I want to give you a really deep, interesting topic today and get a little bit more personal, political, deep, and deliberate than I have thus far on this channel to kind of open it up for you. So I want to address the phenomenon of when you start to get into natural health and you start to see results for yourself and you start to see all of these things turning around and the energy that you have when you're being healthy and the mental clarity that you have and the good feeling in your body of just having that good balance and that homeostasis within you. And you naturally want to share that. You sort of overflow with that zest for life, which is amazing. And you want to reach out to people and tell them, hey, join this cause, join this way of looking at the world, natural health, stop eating fast food, stop doing these controversial medical procedures that have very little upside and a lot of potential downside. Just cool it on those behaviors and see how you feel. And people will be surprisingly unwilling to even try that for a day. And I want to go into the reasons in this video, the reasons why you will not convince your friends or family about natural health. You just will not. They may come to it on their own. Maybe you can influence them and lead by example. But overall, you're not going to convince them through debate and through pressure to adopt your natural, healthy lifestyle. And so there are 3 reasons that I want to highlight in this video. And the first one is fear of addressing mortality. So I don't know, is this Freudian? I don't really know. I'm not really a psychology buff like that, but my theory on rule number 1 is that people don't want to acknowledge their health because your health means that your body's vulnerable. Your health means that you're tasked with taking care of and curating this physical body that is your vessel, or otherwise, your quality of life will be diminished or you will lose your life. And so people don't even want to look at the upside, because what's the downside of looking at the upside of behaviors that will improve your health and lengthen your life? It is the ever-present knowledge that your life is finite and that you are going to die. And so people are scared in general to realize about their health. And, it's understandable. And I think we're all afraid of death. Maybe some of you are really nihilistic and you're like, no, I don't care. But I would say overall, healthy people are opposed to dying. And it's often, posited that we do a lot of behaviors that we do in order to just sort of distract ourselves from the knowledge that we're going to die. And so, humans being, arguably like, the only really self-conscious animal who really knows this is coming, we are in a unique position. And so it's no surprise that, people would display this sort of irrationality of like, I don't even want to think about my health. I'm just going to let my body take care of it automatically. I'm just going to hope for the best. I'm just going to go with the herd. I'm going to do what the authorities say is the right path to take, because taking it into my own hands, that's like being responsible for my life or death, and I'm not really about that. And so it might take more of a pioneering spirit, might take more of a defiance in someone to be able to prioritize taking control over that aspect of their life, and as opposed to just sort of going with the social norm and being like, no, dude, I don't care. I don't worry about those kind of things. You think about that, you're weird. So fear of addressing mortality, big one when it comes to sort of real health denialism. Cool. And then we go to number 2. So number 2 is that leading an unhealthy lifestyle in a weird way, I believe, is actually an indicator of fitness. And does this mean that it should be an indicator of fitness? No. Does this mean that, you should eat McDonald's every day? No. But what I'm saying is that in evolutionary biology, it's well known that people try to basically tout their strength, like the peacocks here in the picture, like the male peacock, right? He's bright, he stands out, and he doesn't get destroyed, so therefore he must be doing something right because he's kind of working at that disadvantage. When it comes to this indicator of fitness of eating McDonald's or getting blackout drunk or even doing urban climbing or weird stunts where you could die, I believe that these represent indicators of fitness. A study showed that males who ate healthy were seen as extremely feminine by raters of both genders. And that men who ate, garbage and soy, even though it's, going to give them breasts, were considered to be more masculine. So it's like the McDonald's is masculine, the Coca-Cola is masculine, the random tacos are masculine. The the salad and the juicing and the plant-based and the and the wrap and all that stuff, that's considered feminine, and that is the stereotype in society, is that it's eating unhealthy is like kind of a showing of being a badass. And that, if you're eating healthy, you're kind of, you have a stick up your backside and you're kind of phony and you're kind of pretentious, and it's kind of like all these like stereotypically feminine characteristics of like, ooh, gotta preserve myself, gotta be nice and pristine. That's what we ascribe to it. And I think that's because it's an indicator of fitness. Basically, it's like, my genes are so strong that I can put myself in poor environments and my epigenetics will not express in a negative way. I can eat McDonald's and I'm still going to be buff. I can, and that's true for some people. I can be exposed to fluoride and chlorine and, all sorts of, mercury, and I'm not going to be affected by it. And it becomes sort of a status symbol and a way to signal one's fitness. So I do think that being unhealthy is an indicator of fitness, and it's associated with being cool. It's kind of changing, but when it comes to, what's cool in pop culture and in movies and stuff, people are partying, people are eating what they want. It's not really the person who is like relegated to eating like this really specific diet for their, to maximize their hormones and maximize their, their gut flora and stuff. That's really touted as being cool. It's more sort of the carefree eating. And that's because it's reckless and it's an honest signal that your body is resilient to negative inputs, and therefore your genetics must be of quality. And so then we move to number 3. And this one is a little bit more controversial, perhaps political. So this one is good boys and girls stay sick. So we all know that when it comes to the media's portrayal of healthy trends, it's always, unproven, snake oil, trendy, annoying, you know what I mean? Think they're better than you. All these sort of, and the people who sell it, they're all like snake oil salesmen. It's the shell game. It's the classic con. It's, unproven, unscientific pseudoscience. All of these words that, we're primed to react to by, dismissing the content that is being addressed, that is all, fed to us via the media. And we know that the media is backed, pretty much first and foremost by pharmaceutical companies. And we know the perverse incentives there. We know that if we're all, quote unquote, thriving, that, the pharmaceutical industry's current model will not sustain itself. And, that is, thousands and thousands of real families, pensions, incomes, visions, lifestyles, friend groups at stake. And it's not just a question of saying like, well, screw these billionaires and, it's just all the billionaires controlling it. No, it's that, and it's the middle class people who are eating off of the fact that you are sick. They're eating off of your fibromyalgia. They're eating off of your acid reflux. They're eating off of your diabetes for real. And so, and it's like a lot of self-deception too. It's not like the percentage of sociopaths in the world is not high enough to where everybody in the medical industry and pharmaceutical industry who is giving you poor advice and who is, whose advice is leading you to be sick actually intends that to be the case. There may be a small percentage of people who, are recklessly negligent and, suppress documents and suppress knowledge and, create the PR that trickles downstream. But most people in that industry are self-deceiving. Think of the nurse who, believes, all the things that they believe and doesn't know all the things that could really help their patients. Think of that person. That person's not out to, that 35-year-old lady's not out to do, people wrong. That's not why they wake up. They may realize at some point that some of their things are counterproductive, but they're not going to. The cognitive dissonance is, like on the addressing mortality thing, cognitive dissonance is not for everybody. And most people, if they invest schooling and career years and, telling all their peers a certain philosophy, they're never going to go back on that at a certain point. They're never going to go back on that. So I think it's a generational thing too. It's very much like, being on all the, it does seem like the baby boomers are a lot more accepting of being on all types of, pharmaceuticals and, it's almost like a badge of honor, like the statin drugs that they're on and just like, oh, what are you going to do? Oh, the blood pressure's up. Millennials are much more like, no, something's wrong. Like, let me figure it out if that's going on, at least from, what I've seen anecdotally. So, we're fed narrative by the media. It's a mix of some people perhaps with bad intentions, but a lot of people just, the momentum of those PR narratives is just so strong that it's really, really hard for people to get over. Even myself, I will hopefully look at the New York Times article or the Washington Post article on a certain type of forefront of health knowledge and be like, I hope they agree, because that would just validate me so much. That would make me feel so included and so, understood, and like I can really believe this now if I see that there. But we're probably never going to see it there. It's probably always going to be kind of controlled, if you will, and it is what it is. But we just need to make our own choices, and plus we are the media now, so screw them. But that concludes the top 3 reasons why no matter how much you pester, how much you argue, how much you bring logic into it, emotion into it, any type of argumentative tactic you'd like, you're never going to convince most of your family and friends about natural health. It's just not going to happen, and it's not the way you should be spending your energy. You should be giving people who are receptive to truth positive, actionable, doable steps that they can actually put into motion so that they can improve their health. And so that we can all start leading by example, and maybe as it gets more stratified between the people who are kind of conscious of these things, who are mostly in balance, and maybe dealing with some like genetic difficulties with, chronic illness or what have you, but like managing it well and doing reasonably well. And then there's a bunch of people, starting to die at like age 45, of heart disease and all sorts of, new diseases cropping up and they can't hide it anymore at a certain point, and 1 in every 10 kids is autistic and whatnot. Maybe as the two philosophies diverge that much, it will just become self-evident to them. But I would say in the meantime, just take care of yourself and lead by example, like we kind of addressed. So thank you so much for watching this YouTube video. I can't even tell you how appreciative I am of you checking in and listening to these thoughts. I'm really passionate about this. I hope you're passionate about it as well. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so that when I come out with these videos, you can actually see it happen. And feel free to share it with anyone, although don't be too worried if it does not convince them to be healthy like you.